Well, hi folks, and a Merry Christmas to you all. I hope everyone's had a lovely time. It's taken me quite a bit of time to get this video complete, and I've deliberately left it until the last day of 2020 to upload the video. Now that's been due to a series of unfortunate events that's happened over the last few months. I actually contracted COVID-19 myself at the end of October, start of November, and although I've come out relatively unscathed, there was 4 out of 7 of us in my office got it, and unfortunately one of my dear friends and work colleagues never quite made it, and he passed away. Absolutely devastating news, and I can't stop thinking about his family this time of year. On top of that, my wife's grandpa also passed away a day later, so timing wise it's just not been right for me to post anything on social media or online. I've took a break from it there and waited until the last day of this year to post this video. So yeah, that's where my head's been at the last few months, but without further ado, let's head to the Isle of Skye for my final video of 2020. Cheers. We left central Scotland around 6 PM after work and travelled the 5.5 hour journey to the Isle of Skye. We'd planned to pitch our tents not far from the roadside, just south of Glen Brittle. It was dark when we arrived, so this is some footage taken from Google Maps just to show you where we pitched our tents. You can see the path winding up the hill which we were to follow the next morning. After only 1.5 hours sleep, we set our alarms for 2 AM and started the hike up Munro number 1 of the day for sunrise. So the Munro of choice was Scurr Na Banachdaich. There's a well-defined path leaves Glen Brittle Youth Hostel and takes you up into the quarry, which you then follow one of the steep scree shoots to the ridgeline, which is a great vantage point. It's smack bang in the middle of the Cuillin ridge. And there's a short couple of 100 metre climb to the summit of the Munro. This was the first time that Alan had been on the Isle of Skye, and the thought of seeing it for the very first time in daylight, standing on top of a Munro in the middle of the Cuillin ridge, it was an exciting thought. Unfortunately for Alan, there was no views from the summit, typical Scottish weather. We got absolutely soaked as we sat and had breakfast just south of the summit. Team morale was pretty low at this point. But we had a full day ahead of us. We didn't hang around and headed down. Typically, the further down the hill we got, the sun came out and it was shaping up to be a lovely day. Here's our tents that we pitched the previous night in the dark, but before we took the tents down, there was one thing left to do to certainly wake us up before we carried on to Munro number 2.
So bad, innit? You got any shirt in there?
We had a few hours to spare, so we decided to take our time and show Alan a few of the tourist hotspots in Skye while en route to our second Munro of the day, Bla Bheinn. The walk into Bla Bheinn really is magnificent, and the views get better the higher up you go. The views just open up. Although as spectacular as the view is, my legs were beginning to get a bit heavy because we'd already done at Munro, done a bit of travelling in between, and we now had the heavy camping rucksacks on with all our equipment. My legs were starting to feel it. So we stopped off every now and then just to wash our face and refresh and waken us up a bit. and try and reach our designated campsite for the night and pitch the tents before climbing to the top of the hill for sunset. Here is the route that we followed. It was taken from walkhighlands.co.uk website. We currently pitched our tents just north of that small loch you can see there on the map. But we still had the steepest part of the climb to go, up through a gully and onto the summit of Bla Bheinn, which is on the opposite side of the Cuillin Ridge from where we were this morning. We were hoping to make it up to catch the sun just setting behind the Cuillin Ridge. So the one thing that I did learn while on this trip was I think we were a bit too ambitious and tried to cram too much into the short space of time that we had on Skye, especially with the 2 Monroes thrown in there as well, and the lack of sleep. And I don't like admitting it, but a bit of old age as well between the 3 of us, I think, creeping in there. It took us a lot longer to get to the summit of Bla Bheinn than we planned out. My main priority when on these trips is always to get an image, but by the time we got to the summit of Bla Bheinn, the sun was just at the perfect level. It was clipping the back of the Cuillins. There was an array of sunbeams just coming out. There was not much cloud obscuring anything. It was just perfect. You can imagine it was utter chaos trying to get everything get dumped, the camera get whipped out the back. But I managed to get an image that I'm absolutely delighted with. It's one of my favourite images of the year. So yeah, here is the little footage that I got from the summit and also the image. We arrived back at the tents in the dark, absolutely and utterly exhausted. We'd been on the go for over 36 hours with only 1.5 hours sleep in between, so we could not wait to get to bed. We were in bed and all sleeping by about 9 o'clock, and I must admit I had the best night's sleep I've ever had in a tent and woke up at 5:30 with my alarm the following morning. With only 2.5 hours left on our journey home, we were forced to about turn due to a smash and head back to Dalwhinnie and out to the A9 and home. Fair play to Ross, who took it in his stride, being the designated driver. It added on an extra few hours to our journey home. Well, that about wraps it up for 2020. I'd just like to take the time to personally thank each and every one of you that's been watching the videos over the last few years. I make these videos for myself, really. It's all personal to me and memories for me, but it's good to see some other people getting some inspiration from the channel, and it's great to get chatting to people as well, so thanks to everybody that's been commenting and asking questions. I thoroughly enjoyed the communication via the channel. It's been great. So yeah, I'd just like to wish everyone all the best for 2021 when the time comes, and I'll hopefully see you all at the start of next year. Cheers.